You are watching the Friday edition of Platinum Northwest TV News. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Philadelphia Mangweng. Let's take a look now at the leading top stories. First up, residents of Leerdich marched to the Bakeng platinum mine and 5 suspects appear in Klerksdorp court for kidnapping. In the business news, fuel prices expected to drop next month. And in the sports news, we take a look at the upcoming soccer fixtures for this weekend. We begin here on Thursday. The residents of Leerdich village embarked on a march to the Bakeng platinum mine, which was led by a council of elders. The march began at the traditional council offices and the residents marched peacefully throughout to the mine gate whilst being escorted by the South African Police Service. The purpose of the march was to have a resolute action plan that seeks to address serious concerns raised by the community. A memorandum of demands was submitted which stated that the mine should give a plan with timelines which will ensure that learnerships candidates who were trained in previous years by the mine are included in the recruitment process. SMMEs should also be given equal opportunities to participate meaningfully in the procurement of the mine. The memorandum also emphasized that things needed to change and called on better living conditions for residents as the host community. Polaong, as the designated convener of the march, highlighted that they had engagement with the mine before the COVID-19 pandemic until 2023 on how to deal with issues faced by the community, especially young people. In other news, 5 suspects between the ages of 24 and 42 appeared before the Klerksdorp Magistrates Court on Monday after being arrested last Thursday for kidnapping. According to information received, 5 suspects who are Zimbabwean nationals saw an advert on Facebook about the sale of maize meal in Klerksdorp. They then made arrangements on Tuesday and ultimately drove from Pretoria to come and buy the product. Here's Lieutenant Colonel Amanda Funani.
On arrival in Klerksdorp, they were taken to Extension 19 in Jouberton to collect the maize meal. While the victims were waiting inside the house, people who pretended to be police officials entered and robbed them of their money. The suspect's vehicle was spotted by the police near Lichtenburg, and the victim managed to disclose that he has been kidnapped. The suspects were, as a result, arrested, while the 40-year-old kidnapping victim was handed over to Jouberton police for common robbery. Nhi.Babelaelwa appeared before Klerksdorp Magistrate Court on Friday, 10 May 2024, and he was granted bail of 2,000 rand. The 5 kidnapping suspects were taken to Klerksdorp and made first appearance before the Klerksdorp Magistrate Court on Monday, 14 May 2024 for kidnapping. Ntwa, Milton Nyoni, Mandla Njongolo, Joel Moyo, and Calvin Chuma are expected to appear before the Klerksdorp Magistrate Court again on Monday, 20 May 2024 for bail application.
In more news, President Cyril Ramaphosa paid his respects to the victims of the George construction site disaster. The president also engaged the recovery and rescue teams. Let's take a look. President Ramaphosa had an opportunity to meet the families and friends of the victims and express South Africa's collective condolences since the catastrophic incident.
And this is where we have seen how our government in South Africa works and functions. In times of disaster, and of course in other times, we work as one unit. And we call that intergovernmental cooperation, and we call this the district development model, where all entities work together. We've also had other agencies of government. The Human Rights Commission has also been present, looking through everything that's happened. We've had other organizations such as SALGA, which is the organization of our local government. We've been fortunate to have religious organizations that have been part of this whole process, and other relief organizations as well. So here, soon after this disaster happened, which I call a catastrophe, where we're looking at many people losing their lives all at one go. This is where working together has really come to the fore, and where we've decided very clearly, because of the exigency of the situation, that we are going to focus on saving lives, those who are still alive need to be saved, caring for the injured, making sure that the remains of those who have lost their lives are well put together so that those who need to be repatriated can be repatriated. Those who need to be buried here can also be buried here. But also, more importantly, we felt that the bereaved families, those who are friends and relatives of those who have left this world, should also be treated with great compassion. We should also make sure that the wounds that they now have are taken care of. And we know that many of you are in grief. There's no worse grief than people who have lost their loved ones.
And with that said, let's now get an update on the business news. In the business news, some good news for cash-strapped South Africans as fuel decreases are expected for June. The AA said that significant decreases are on the cards based on unaudited mid-month data from the Central Energy Fund. The price of both grades of petrol could decrease by more than 60 cents a litre. Diesel could drop by over 70 cents per litre. The main drivers behind the decreases are the strengthening of the rand and a lower international oil price. In more news, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana says that he is confident that the government is ready to implement the National Health Insurance Scheme. His statement follows President Cyril Ramaphosa's signing of the NHI bill into law on Wednesday. The move has been met with criticism, including from several political parties, as well as businesses and the private healthcare sector. Godongwana says the scheme will be funded through taxation and grants. Let's listen in.
I mentioned the point that one of the things we needed to do is to invest more in the public health system, and we enumerated in a number of areas where we're putting money into and make sure that the public health system is also ready. We've also provided grants in support of the NHI. I'm not entirely sure when the people say we're not in a financial position to fund it, what is exactly. Let me just give you an indication. Most of these people who are making the noise, all of them have got medical aid. Government at the moment subsidizes all of those medical aids with 34 billion rand. Equity requires that sort of funding be extended to those who don't have medical aids. So the key question we have is not universal coverage, by the way, because everybody in South Africa, you rock up into a hospital, in public facilities, you don't have to pay if you don't have money. Your problem is access, because people don't have access to every facility.
And that's all from the business news. Up next, we wrap up with the sports. In soccer news, the DStv Premiership champions Mamelodi Sundowns will travel to Cape Town to face second-place Stellenbosch at the Athlone Stadium. In the previous 5 encounters, Sundowns won 3, Stellenbosch won 1, and they drew the other. Meanwhile, in Nelspruit, TS Galaxy, who are 5th on the log, will host 3rd place Orlando Pirates at the Mbombela Stadium. That kickoff is at 3 p.m. Pirates will have the better head-to-head record, winning 4 out of the 5 previous meetings. In more soccer news, the Premier League clubs will be given the chance to scrap the VAR from next season when they vote on the controversial review system at their annual general meeting that is set for next month. Now, the Premier League club Wolverhampton Wanderers have triggered a vote for when representatives from 20 clubs assemble for their yearly gathering on June 6th. The Wolves believe that the decision to introduce VAR was made in good faith and with the best interest of football and the Premier League at its heart, but also pointed out its pitfalls. In fact, they listed a host of negatives in their argument, including the impact on global celebration and the spontaneous passion that makes football special, as well as frustrations and confusion inside the stadiums. In order for VAR to be axed by the Premier League, 14 out of the 20 clubs will have to vote against it. However, the Premier League believes VAR is still a valuable tool. The English top flight, which is a regular dialogue with referees governing body, PGMOL, believes the number of incorrect decisions would increase without VAR, which could damage the competition's reputation. And that's all from us for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again on Monday evening. Till then, have a blessed weekend. Good night and take care.